The boy pointed to the schoolyard and screamed, "Give me back my sister," when they dug it up.
Hello everyone, enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
The schoolyard of Pine Grove Elementary nestled quietly in a peaceful suburban neighborhood on the outskirts of Springfield. That winter morning, the sky was thick with gray clouds, and cold wind howled through the bare branches, slipping through every crack of the classroom windows. The children sat inside, staring out through the fogged-up glass, waiting for recess. Suddenly, a scream ripped through the air. "Give my sister back." A boy, around 6 years old, with tangled hair, his whole body covered in mud and his bare feet cracked and bleeding, appeared in the middle of the yard like he had stepped out of a nightmare. He ran, crying, tears mixing with the mud on his cheeks, lips purple from the cold. His eyes were vacant but wild with terror. "Please, give my sister back." First and second graders began spilling out of their classrooms, stopping short at the sight. A few girls stepped back and whispered, "Who is that? He looks like a crazy person." A middle-aged teacher named James rushed into the yard, voice stern. "Hey! Who are you? How did you get in here?" The boy didn't answer. He ran to the center of the yard and started digging into the wet soil near the big sycamore tree with his tiny hands. Blood began oozing from his fingers as his nails cracked and tore. "Lucy. Lucy's here." "Oh God, what's wrong with this kid?" whispered a young teacher, Catherine. "Someone call security." Derek, the school security guard, walked in from the front gate, his eyes cold. He stepped toward the boy and spoke in a heavy voice. "Hey kid, get up. You're damaging school property." The boy didn't lift his head, kept clawing the earth, groaning. "I have to save my sister, she's buried here." A round of giggles erupted from a group of third graders nearby. One of them started recording on their phone. "He looks possessed," laughed a boy named Noah. "Put it on TikTok," said a girl named Sarah. No one got close. No one asked if the boy was cold or hurt. He kept digging until he collapsed from exhaustion, his hands bloody, mumbling, "Lucy, don't be scared." Then the boy fell to the ground, eyes rolling back, unconscious, his breath shallow. The security office at Pine Grove Elementary was only half the size of a kitchen. The boy curled up on an old chair, his shirt torn, filthy feet resting on the icy tile floor. Derek sighed and tossed him a rag. "Wipe your face. You look like you crawled out of a garbage heap." The boy didn't move. "What's your name?" Derek barked. The boy opened his eyes, voice hoarse, "Alex." "Alex who? There's no student by that name here." Teacher Catherine stepped in, phone in hand. "I called the police. They're on their way. No idea where this kid came from." Derek shrugged. "Probably some homeless brat. Street kids pull this kind of crap all the time." Alex muttered, like a desperate plea repeating itself. "My sister's name is Lucy, the man with the black hat, he buried her." Catherine shivered but kept her voice firm. "Hey, stop making things up. This is a school, not a stage for your drama." Derek chuckled. "Whose trash let this thing in?" 10 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived, one older named Mark, the other younger, named Michael. Mark walked in, gave Alex a once-over, and frowned. "Who is this kid?" "No idea," Derek replied. "He passed out in the yard. Kept mumbling something about someone being buried." Michael knelt down, voice gentle. "What's your name? Do you remember where you live?" "I'm Lucy, she's buried, the man in gray with the black hat." Mark shook his head and cut in. "Another mentally unstable kid. Probably abandoned by his parents." Alex flinched. "No. I'm not crazy. I saw it. My sister's under there, please dig." Michael looked uncertainly at his partner. Mark muttered. "Kids have wild imaginations. Remember the one who said his mom was murdered? Turned out she was sleeping in the park. Michael sighed and turned back to Alex. Listen, you can't stay here. Do you have any relatives? Parents? They left me. I only have Lucy. Mark shook his head and stepped back. Send him to a shelter. Don't waste time. Derek opened the door and shoved Alex's head lightly. Get out. Nobody believes you. Scram. The boy could barely stand, but he looked back one last time at the yard, where the dirt was still disturbed and bloody from his digging. Lucy, don't be scared. I'll come back. The door slammed behind him. Alex walked barefoot into the freezing early winter wind, leaving drops of blood in the muddy puddles behind him. At the school gate, a group of students crowded around a phone replaying the video. Look, that's when he screamed Lucy. Creepy, right? My parents say he's a crazy homeless kid, said one. A girl named Emma whispered. I think he's just really sad. Sarah sneered. What's to pity? He's nuts. In the distance, Alex stood staring through the iron fence, his eyes dull and trembling. Light rain began to fall. He slowly backed into the shadows, leaving behind mocking laughter, curious stares, and the yard where his sister would never wake up again. The small room at Rosewood Shelter was where Alex was taken after being expelled from Pine Grove Elementary. The whitewashed walls were peeling, the air filled with mildew. The boy sat curled up on the metal bed, wrapped in a tattered blanket, eyes wide open staring at the ceiling. A social worker entered, a short, plump woman with permed hair and heavy red lipstick. Ms. Susan. What's your name? She asked, her tone flat, like she didn't care. Alex. Where are your parents? Gone. Ugh, another one dumped like garbage. She shook her head, scribbled something on a form, and turned to the younger staffer beside her, Martha. Write this down, no parents, unstable, prone to lying. The school confirmed he's not a former student. Martha looked at the boy, hesitant. I think maybe something serious did happen. Susan waved her off. You're new, still green. Kids like this are everywhere. Always babbling, my sister is buried, a man with a black hat sounds like a horror movie. Martha stayed quiet. Alex looked up, trembling. Could you go to the school? Help me dig near the tree. No, kid, Susan snapped. I'm not search and rescue. You need to understand lying will get you put in a stricter facility. Alex broke down in tears. I'm not lying. Lucy's really there. Susan sighed in frustration. Here we go again. Be quiet already. The next day, a local reporter named Andrew came by to do a story on homeless children. When he heard something about Alex, he asked to meet him. Hey there, I'm Andrew. What's your name? Alex. I heard you mentioned a sister. Lucy. She was buried by the man in the black hat near the school. Andrew's eyes widened. Buried? Are you sure? I saw him hit her with a wooden stick, then bury her next to the sycamore. Andrew swallowed hard but stayed calm. Can you tell me more? When did this happen? Before Alex could answer, Susan cut in. Sorry, reporter, but the boy made it up. We already contacted the school and police. No reports of any missing person or body. But if he's describing things in such detail, Andrew tried. You planning to write what elementary school haunted? Publish that and I'll sue you for defamation and spreading panic. Andrew looked at Alex one last time, then turned away, his face troubled. That afternoon, Alex was brought back to Pine Grove Elementary at the request of the Department of Education, just to verify the truth. But from the moment he stepped through the gate, everyone looked at him like he was insane. A group of teachers gathered in the principal's office. Principal Rose, a neatly dressed woman in a gray blazer with a pearl ring on her hand, said. I don't understand why we're wasting time on this. We are a top-rated school. We can't let rumors from a homeless child tarnish our reputation. An older teacher, Mr. Paul, chimed in. We've reviewed all our records. No student named Lucy has gone missing. Rose exhaled and gave a cold smile. And there's no one named Alex who's ever attended this school. He's just making it all up. Meanwhile, the boy was locked alone in the security room. Derek was once again assigned to watch him. He sat in the chair across from the boy, sipping coffee, his eyes casting sidelong glances. Why'd you come back? He hissed, just loud enough for the two of them to hear. You really want to die, huh? Alex trembled. You killed Lucy. I'll kill you too if you say that again. The boy shook, but kept staring straight at him. My sister, she's by the sycamore tree. Derek sneered. Go ahead and dig. Dig until your hands fall off. No one believes you. They'll laugh, call you crazy. A little while later, a new police officer arrived, a woman in her 30s named Ellen. Her hair was tied back neatly, her eyes sharp. She entered the room, looked at the boy, then turned to Derek. I've been ordered to reassess the child's testimony. Please step outside. Derek left, his glance lingering with suspicion. Ellen sat down, gently. Alex, I'm a police officer. You can tell me everything, okay? Take your time. The boy choked on his sobs. He said he had candy, took us to the corner of the yard. Ellen listened intently, writing down every word. When Alex reached the part about he hit Lucy on the head with a stick, her hand trembled slightly. But before she could go on, Rose pushed the door open from the hallway and snapped. Excuse me, but this is a school, not a police station. If you want to conduct an investigation, please return with an official warrant. Ellen stood, staring hard at Rose. I'll be back. On the way back to the shelter, Alex passed a bakery. He paused, staring at a loaf of bread in the display window. The shop owner, Mr. Raymond, shouted. Hey, get away from there. No money, no looking. I was just looking. Street kids like you are always up to something. People on the sidewalk began murmuring. A woman in a fur coat, Jennifer, shook her head. That's the boy from the video. My kid won't stop talking about him. What video? Someone nearby asked. The one where he was screaming in the schoolyard. Faking a scene, said his sister was buried. Just a ploy for likes. Alex felt the world spinning. He collapsed on the curb, clutching his empty stomach, teeth chattering. A child walking past looked at him and asked their mother. Mommy, why is that boy crying? Because no one believes him, sweetie, the mother replied, then kept walking. That night at the shelter, Martha quietly placed a bowl of soup beside Alex's bed. He didn't touch it. He only whispered. They don't believe me. They say I'm crazy, but my sister, she's still there. Martha sat down beside the bed and took his hand. I believe you. I just don't know what to do. Alex looked up, eyes red, voice rasping. I just want someone to help me dig. Derek Harper, born in 1972 in Fresno County, appeared in administrative records as a normal citizen with no criminal history. He was hired as a security guard at Pine Grove Elementary School in 2019 during a period of urgent staff shortage. His job application was a single page, former security guard at Paradise Reform Center for 12 years. No one looked further. Do you have experience working with children? Principal Rose asked during the initial interview. Of course. I've calmed down many hysterical kids. I know how to keep them under control, Derek smiled. Do you have any psychological evaluations? I've done regular assessments. All clear. Very good. My school needs someone firm, someone who can control the students. Not everyone can handle being a guard at an elementary school. You can count on me. Rose asked no more. She needed someone strict and discreet. However, Derek had previously been fired from the Paradise Reform Center in 2017 for inappropriate conduct with minors. But that record was later cleared thanks to a special connection. Rose had once been a colleague of Matthew Evans, the center's director. In a recorded internal call, only discovered later, Rose said, "Matthew, I need someone to keep order in the schoolyard. Doesn't need to be squeaky clean, just discreet. Derek's a bit heavy-handed, but great with controlling kids." Good. Could you erase those old complaints from his record? Consider it done. Since starting at Pine Grove Elementary, Derek quickly became infamous among the children. But infamous in a terrifying way. "Run again and I'll break your legs," he told second grader Mason after seeing him play soccer near the guard room. "You think this school's a market?" he snarled at young Andrea when she dropped her milk carton on the playground. Any child summoned for a private talk with Derek in the old storage room would come back unusually quiet. One day, a third grader named Clara told her mother, "Mommy, the guard said he'd give me candy if I followed him, but I got scared." "Why were you scared?" "He looked at me weird, and said, 'If you tell anyone, I'll dig a hole and bury you like a rat.'" The horrified mother took her daughter to the administration. That day, Rose greeted them with an icy expression. "You should understand that children have very active imaginations. Clara is shy, often teased. This could be a story she made up." "My daughter has never lied," the mother said firmly. "We'll take note. But without solid evidence, I can't act. Also, you are aware that false accusations are a criminal offense, right?" The mother fell silent. Rose continued. "Or, if you feel this school is not a good fit, you can request a transfer." A few days later, Clara was called the crazy liar by classmates. A boy named Jack shouted in the yard, "She thinks Derek digs graves." Ha ha ha. Clara's family eventually transferred her. No one said another word. All the while, Derek was still regarded as dedicated. "He once put out a fire in time and saved the library," said a teacher named Bella when asked by a reporter. "Yeah. We thought it'd be a huge fire. Thanks to Derek, damages were minor," confirmed PE teacher Henry. But few knew it was Derek who had secretly set the fire. He lit a trash bin inside the library. The cameras just happened to malfunction that day. He planned it well. He started the fire, then discovered it and heroically put it out with an extinguisher. He was praised, even featured in the school newsletter, the silent hero of Pine Grove Elementary. Not everyone was fooled, though. Laura, a new student teacher, once saw him lead second grader Olivia toward the old storage room during recess. She grew suspicious and followed. When she approached, the door was tightly shut. She knocked. "Mr. Derek?" "It's Laura, the student teacher." "Is there a student in there?" A moment later, Derek opened the door, holding a mop, frowning. "No one here. I'm cleaning. I just saw Olivia go in with you. You must have been mistaken. It's recess." Laura stepped inside, eyes scanning. No one was there. But the faint scent of children's perfume made her skin crawl. That same afternoon, Laura reported it to Rose. The principal was silent for a few seconds, then said, "Do you have proof? Cameras? Audio? Witnesses?" "No, but I have a strong feeling something's wrong." "You know that feelings don't go into official reports, right?" "But, Miss Laura, I don't want this to escalate. We're about to receive a quality inspection team. A baseless accusation right now could ruin everything." Laura swallowed hard. Rose pulled out a document. "This is a voluntary resignation form. If you sign it, this ends here." "But I just want to protect the students. And I'm protecting this entire school. Laura quietly stepped away. The voluntary resignation was submitted to the Department of Education 1 week later. The children at Pine Grove Elementary slowly learned one thing. Never talk back to Mr. Derek. Don't cry when he yells. If he calls you to the storage room, stay quiet, be obedient, tell no one. He taught them with fear, with threats. I'll dig a hole and bury you like a rat if you open your mouth. Some kids wet their pants just seeing his shadow in the hallway. One day, Derek sat alone in the security room, wiping the wooden stick he always kept by his chair. The wind howled through the cracks. He looked at an old photo in his drawer, a picture of him with 3 children. Their faces had been cut out of the frame. He muttered under his breath. Little rats. You think you can escape me? A knock at the door. Who is it? He asked, quickly hiding the photo. It was Rose. I heard some people have been asking about your old files. I already cleaned it all up. Be careful. If what happened back then comes to light. I erased everything. Are you sure? Derek smirked. You think I'm stupid? The one who buries is the one who digs. The one who's afraid is the one who dies. Rose said nothing, her eyes calculating. Out in the schoolyard, the sycamore tree stood silent in the wind. Beneath the cold soil, a dark truth lay hidden. A child was gone. And a predator still walked among the students, waiting for the next Lucy. That night, in the frigid room at Rosewood Shelter, Alex lay curled up in a thin blanket. A fever burned his forehead, but he didn't sleep. Memories sliced through his young mind like knives. The wind howled at the window. The ticking clock sounded like the breathing of a demon in the dark. Martha, the young social worker on night shift, tiptoed to his bed, leaned down, and placed a hand on his shoulder. Can't sleep? Alex opened his eyes, lips trembling. Do you really want to hear it? Martha hesitated, then sat down and whispered. If you're ready, I'll listen. The boy nodded. And then, the words began to flow, like blood from a long-hidden wound. It was Friday afternoon, 1 week ago. Alex and his 8-year-old sister Lucy Brown Pigtails, always humming, stood behind the bushes at the corner of the yard. Derek approached, wearing a strange smile. Hey, kids. Want some candy? Lucy hesitated. We don't know you. Derek softened his voice. It's okay, just a little secret. I've got chocolate, but I can't give it to you out here. Teachers will get mad. Come with me to the shed. Alex looked at Lucy. Both nodded. They thought it would be a surprise. But as soon as they reached the corner of the yard, Derek turned, his face completely changed. He slammed the door behind them and bolted it shut. Lucy stepped back, gripping her brother's hand. I want to go home. Derek scowled. No screaming. I hate screaming. Shut your mouth. Lucy panicked. I want to go back to mommy. Then bang. Like thunder. Derek swung a heavy wooden stick into Lucy's head. Blood sprayed like a fountain. Alex screamed. No. Lucy collapsed, eyes wide open, unblinking. Her lips barely moved with a final whisper. Al-X. Then silence. Alex lunged to pull her up, but Derek grabbed him by the hair and yanked him back. He slammed the boy's head into the ground. All you know is how to cry. The boy trembled, screamed in despair. Don't hurt my sister, she's still breathing. Derek said nothing. He picked up a shovel hidden behind the tree and began digging like an animal. Each scoop of dirt echoed in Alex's soul like a roar of pain. You know what? Derek panted as he dug. Your sister died because of you. If you hadn't followed, she'd still be alive. You killed her. Alex sobbed, curling into himself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, please don't bury her. Derek gave a cold chuckle. Too late. He lifted Lucy's body and tossed it into a hole nearly 3 feet deep. Her small body hit the bottom with a sickening thud, her head tilted to one side. The rag doll she always carried flew from her hand, one arm ripped off. Derek shoveled dirt over her, slowly filling the grave. Alex collapsed to his knees, shaking, urine soaking his pants in terror and exhaustion. Buried, Derek said, dusting off his hands and looking at the boy like he was a stray dog. You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. You will keep your mouth shut. Or else. He leaned in, whispered into Alex's ear. I'll dig another hole. Just for you. Sister Martha, Alex whispered, his eyes vacant. She never got to blow out birthday candles. Martha bit her lip until it bled. She gripped his hand tightly, holding back her emotion. I believe you. No one believes me. I crawled out with blood on my hands, but no one stopped. He remembered everything. After Derek left, he crawled across the yard, through the fence, screaming. Is anyone there? Please help me. A woman named Teresa, walking her dog nearby, saw him. What are you doing? Why are you so filthy? Help me, my sister's buried. Another little actor. Get away from me. She pulled her dog and walked off. Alex crawled back to the school gate. It was locked. He held his stomach, shivering, and collapsed on the freezing cement. The winter wind whipped across his face. All night, he lay there, without food, without sleep, occasionally whispering. Lucy, don't be scared. The next morning, as students arrived, a boy named Liam spotted him. Whoa! There's a crazy kid lying here. Who are you? Another one asked, kicking Alex. He only whispered. Lucy, save Lucy. A parent rushed over and called security. Derek was the first to come out. He looked at Alex, his eyes blazing, and muttered. You're still alive, then your pain will stay alive too. Then he turned to the parent and shouted. This one's not a student here. Probably slept on the street and snuck in to steal. I'm calling the police, someone said. Derek nodded. His eyes flicked down to Alex's bloody, mud-caked hands. His lips curled into a chilling smile. In the present, Martha couldn't take it anymore. She pulled out her phone and quietly recorded the end of Alex's story. Are you okay? I kept my promise. I didn't tell anyone. But my sister, she's so cold. I'll do something. I promise. Alex shook his head. Don't promise. Everyone promises, then they disappear. Martha wept. That night, she opened her laptop and searched, Pine Grove Elementary security guard named Derek Harper. Nothing. She turned to a teacher's forum and asked anonymously. Does anyone know Derek Walker? Used to work at Paradise Reform Center. A strange account replied. Why are you asking about that? Best not to dig. Someone else did, they vanished. Martha shut her screen, heart racing. But deep inside her, something had awakened, this boy is not lying. And if she did nothing, more children would die like Lucy. Martha sat in her small office at Rosewood Shelter, a stack of case files spread before her. The wind howled through the window cracks, and the pale winter morning light made the pages feel even colder. He's telling the truth, she murmured, opening her notebook to the line, Lucy, little sister, buried behind Pine Grove Elementary. She picked up the phone and called the Springfield Department of Education. Hello, this is Martha Hayes from Rosewood Shelter. I'd like to ask about a student named Alex Walker, and a girl named Lucy. A cold female voice replied. Sorry, there are no students by the names Alex Walker or Lucy Walker in our system for Pine Grove Elementary. But the boy insists he used to attend there. There are no records, ma'am. If the child was not officially registered, the school holds no responsibility. But if there was abuse, we don't act on baseless stories. You should contact the police. Click. The call ended. Martha set the phone down, eyes dry. At Pine Grove Elementary, Principal Rose was in a meeting with a group of teachers. On the table was a report about the viral video of the boy screaming in the schoolyard. We cannot let this damage our reputation, Rose said coldly. We're about to be voted Model Elementary School of the district. Teacher Bella, who taught second grade, cautiously spoke up. But a lot of people have shared the video. And it seems like that boy really was here. No, Rose interrupted. I already asked administration to check thoroughly. There's no student named Alex. And we don't recall a girl named Lucy either. But what if? Silence, Bella. I don't need what ifs. I need control. Mr. Paul sighed. But the public is raising questions. Should we allow an investigation of the area near the sycamore tree? Rose slammed her pen on the table. Are you insane? If we let them dig, it's the same as admitting we've got something to hide. But if there is, I'll say it again, we cannot let one incident damage the school's reputation. That's an order. Meanwhile, in a nearby cafe, Martha met with an older woman, Laura, the former student teacher who had been forced by Rose to resign. You're Laura, right? Martha asked softly. Laura nodded, clutching her coffee cup tightly. I used to teach at Pine Grove Elementary. And I once saw Derek lead a little girl into the storage shed. Did you report it? I did. But Rose forced me to sign a voluntary resignation. If I refused, she threatened to send anonymous letters to other schools, making sure I'd never be hired again. You could help me speak out. A little girl named Lucy is dead. Laura's voice caught in her throat. I know. I saw her once pigtails, always singing. And then, she vanished. Please, would you be willing to tell that to the police? Laura looked out the window as wind swept through the pines. Yes. It's time. Back in the principal's office, Derek walked in and closed the door behind him. Rose was stacking papers but stopped when he spoke. Laura's back. I saw her with a social worker. Rose looked up, eyes sharp as blades. She's digging up the past. Seems like it. We can't let this spread. Everything must stay buried. Derek sat down, arms crossed. If I get dragged in, you won't come out clean either. Rose gave a cold laugh. I've kept your secrets for years. You should be grateful. Grateful? I've covered more holes for this school than you can count. Enough, Rose snapped. If you cause any more trouble, I'll find someone to replace you. Derek leaned forward, his voice low. Go ahead. Try. At the same time, Jacob, a young reporter from the Castile Voice, was reviewing the viral video of the screaming boy. He zoomed in, the barefoot child, mud-covered hands, shouting, "Give me back my sister." Jacob turned to a colleague. You see it? Just some messed up kid. No. A desperate one. He typed Pine Grove Elementary and Derek Harper into a search engine. No results. But after tracing employee records, Jacob discovered something. Derek had previously worked at Paradise Reform Center and was fired. He called Martha after finding an old post she made on a teacher forum. You're Martha, right? I'm Jacob, a reporter. I have information about Derek. Go on. His file was deleted, but I have an old copy. There were allegations, serious ones, of misconduct with minors. I think we should meet. The next day, at an education department conference, Rose stood before hundreds of principals and teachers. At Pine Grove Elementary, we prioritize safety and ethics above all. We do not tolerate any form of misconduct. The room erupted in applause. But at the back of the room, Jacob was recording, eyes locked on Rose's fake smile. He texted Martha. Ready? We're going to expose everything. That afternoon, a man named Mr. Anthony saw a child curled up on a park bench, his face covered in bruises. He approached. Are you okay, son? I don't have a home. What's your name? Alex. Is there someone I can call for you? No one believes me. Mr. Anthony's eyes grew somber. He called his wife. Sweetheart, I think for the first time in my life, I've seen a child the whole world has turned its back on. That night, in the principal's office, Rose received an anonymous email. Subject line, I know you buried the body. Below, just one sentence. Time to start digging, Mrs. Rose. That day, Rosewood Shelter was undergoing inspection. The moldy walls were covered with colorful paper to hide the stains. Staff were instructed to smile, be polite, and don't let any kids cry. Alex was locked in a private room to avoid contact with the monitoring team. He sat with his knees hugged to his chest, staring at the wall white like a funeral shroud. Outside, Ms. Susan was speaking with a newly arrived social welfare officer, Mr. Edward Dawson, silver-haired and dignified. That boy. Alex, right? Edward asked in a polite tone. I heard he was taken to Pine Grove Elementary. Just a little liar, Susan said flatly. No records, no parents, mentally unstable. I'd like to meet him. Susan frowned. Sir, he's in a fragile state. Talks nonsense. It's better not to stir things up. I'm a child rights supervisor. I have the authority. She reluctantly led him to the room. Alex looked up as the two entered. His eyes were sunken, lips cracked. Your name is Alex? Edward asked. Yes. Can you tell me what happened? Alex looked at Susan, then lowered his head. If I talk, everyone will say I'm crazy again. Edward sat down, gently. No one will say that here. They already did. The boy began to speak slowly. About Lucy. About the wooden stick. About the doll with the broken arm. Edward listened closely, his expression growing more grim. Susan crossed her arms, scoffing. Sir, if I may, runaway kids often invent sad stories to get attention. Edward turned to her sharply. You're dismissing the testimony of a child in distress. Alex bit his lip, whispered. I've gone to so many places, begging, no one believes me. Edward sighed, nodding. All right. I'll contact the police again. But 2 days later, when Edward submitted a formal request to reopen the case, the district police replied. Case reviewed. No matching missing persons reports. Pine Grove Elementary confirms no student by the names Lucy or Alex. No grounds to investigate further. Furious, Edward called the police department directly. Do you know what I'm holding? A 6-year-old statement, down to the smallest detail, even the description of the soil behind the school. On the other end, Officer Bryan sounded exhausted. We have orders from above, no digging, no escalation. Political reasons. That school's about to be selected as a national model. So you're covering up a dead body for politics? There's no confirmed body. We can't destroy people's careers over the word of a nameless kid. Edward clenched his phone. What if I leak this to the press tomorrow? We'll say you're a zealot chasing delusions. Click. The line went dead. 1 day later, Alex wandered through the city market. He saw a loaf of bread on a vendor's stand. The vendor, Mrs. Linda, thin and worn, was busy packing items for a customer. Alex reached out and gently touched the bread, whispering. I'm sorry. I'm hungry. Immediately, she screamed. Thief! Bread thief! People rushed over. A tall man grabbed the boy's arm. You little punk. Isn't that the kid from the video? A woman asked. The one who pretended to cry at the school. Another man kicked Alex's leg. Child actors. Stealing and still playing the victim. A child yelled. Filthy beggar. No one asked if he was hurt. No one asked why his face was bruised or why he was barefoot in the middle of winter. They only filmed. And laughed. The next day, the video was uploaded to social media. Title: Kid actor Lucy is dead, now steals bread at market. The comments section was filled with cruelty. Again. Just put him in a mental ward already. Anyone else think he looks like an old doll? Such a dramatic little faker. Time for the cops to lock up these story-spinning kids. Jacob, the young journalist, stared at the screen, feeling like smashing it. He called Martha. We can't let this continue. They're turning a victim into a joke. Can you publish something? Martha asked. If I write it, who will run it? My paper is funded by the very education system covering this up. Then, what options do we have? Jacob paused. There's only one way. I'll record an interview with Alex. And I'll post it myself, under my own name. They'll sue you. Then let them. But at least, someone will have listened to that boy. And I won't stay silent. That night, Jacob arrived at Rosewood Shelter. Alex sat in the corner, clutching the broken-armed doll, the last memento of Lucy. You miss her? Jacob asked, kneeling beside him. Alex nodded. Do you still want people to know the truth? Alex looked up. For the first time in days, a faint spark lit his eyes. I promised her. I'll tell it until someone listens. Jacob turned on the camera. Alex began to speak. No hesitation. No fear. When the video ended, Jacob looked at him. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Alex gave a small smile, but then whispered. I'm scared. If they see the video, they'll say I'm lying. They'll hit me again. No. This time, I'll stand in front of you. I won't walk away like the others. Jacob took his hand. It was ice cold, but it gripped tightly. 3 days later, the video was uploaded to Jacob's personal channel with the caption. The story of a child silenced by society. Views skyrocketed. But Jacob soon received an anonymous message. If you don't take it down, we'll sue. You and the kid. The newspaper called him in. Jacob, you're suspended. I didn't do anything wrong. You've damaged the organization's reputation. We want no part of this. He walked out of the building unemployed, but with his head held high. Because for the first time, someone had listened to a child. And hadn't abandoned him. The wind howled through the low-rise buildings on the edge of Springfield. On Jacob's laptop screen, the video interview with Alex had passed 1 million views in just 3 days. The comments began to shift. His voice, there's no way that's fake. I went to Pine Grove Elementary in 2017. Derek always scared the hell out of us. Anyone know which sycamore tree it is? I want to go there. Jacob looked at Martha, sitting across from him in a small cafe near the bus station. It's time to go back, he said. Are you sure? She asked anxiously. What if they stop us? They can silence me. But they can't bury a child forever. The next day, Jacob contacted the city's new police chief Stephen Carter, who had just taken office after a departmental shakeup. After hearing the account, Stephen spoke slowly. You're saying, there's a little girl buried in an elementary schoolyard? And the whole education system is trying to hide it. Any evidence? A boy labeled crazy by society. But his details match shovel marks, tree placement, even the bloodied hands on video. Stephen was quiet for a few seconds. Then he sighed. I'll authorize a search. But you have to understand I'm going to be under serious pressure. You're the last person we have left to trust. The next morning, Alex sat in an unmarked police car between Jacob and Martha. He wore a light blue sweater and held tightly onto the broken doll. Are you sure it's here? Jacob asked. The boy nodded, eyes fixed on the line of trees in the yard of Pine Grove Elementary. The school gates were temporarily sealed off. Media began to arrive, seeing the police tape and white forensic tents. A reporter from NBC News whispered. Word is, there really is a body. This'll be a headline story today. Inside the yard, the forensics team began their work. Stephen asked Alex. Can you help us? Show us exactly where. Alex stepped onto the gravel path, his worn shoes barely making a sound. He walked straight to the old sycamore tree in the middle of the yard, circled to the back, and stopped. Right here, he said, voice trembling. Are you sure? A forensic officer asked. My sister is under this soil. Jacob stood beside him. Martha held the boy's hand. Stephen gave the order. Start digging. Many former students and parents gathered outside the fence. Teacher Bella stood behind the iron gate, whispering. Could it really be true? A parent shouted. I saw a girl named Lucy. Round face, pigtails. My son said she was called to the back once. Mr. Paul, the veteran teacher, turned pale. Have we been living beside a crime without knowing it? 20 minutes passed. No one spoke. Only the sound of shovels and wind. Alex kept his head down, lips pressed tight, hands clasped. Then. Here, a technician shouted. All eyes turned to the hole in the ground. A white cloth bundle, stained with mud, embroidered with a childlike pattern, peeked out from the soil. A tiny gray hand stuck out. A pale purple nightgown. And a torn piece of fabric from the broken doll. Jacob burst into tears. Martha covered her mouth. Alex stood frozen. Then he screamed. Lucy. The cry ripped through the air, shattering the silence. People rushed to hold him back as he tried to jump into the grave. Martha wrapped her arms around him. No, Alex, you don't have to dig anymore. You found her. But he kept screaming, word by word. My sister was here, all along. And you all left her. At the Department of Education, Principal Rose was in a meeting when her office phone rang. It was the chief of staff. Someone from Springfield PD just called. They found the body. What body? Lucy. A girl. Buried in the schoolyard. Rose dropped her coffee. Meanwhile, Derek was hiding at an abandoned farm 40 kilometers from the border, preparing fake documents to flee to Mexico. He turned on the TV to watch the news and saw the image of a muddy cloth bag being pulled from the ground. The anchor spoke, confirmed remains of a young girl named Lucy Walker, previously reported missing, discovered at Pine Grove Elementary after her brother Alex's testimony was verified. He cursed and threw a bottle of liquor at the wall. That little mutt couldn't keep his mouth shut. Police sirens roared outside. Open up. Derek Walker. You're under arrest for murder. He tried to escape through the back door but 3 officers were waiting. He was taken down. As they cuffed him, he hissed. You've got nothing on me. A cop leaned in and said quietly. We've got a body. And a kid with a better memory than you thought. Back at the scene, Jacob knelt down and pulled a scrap of fabric from the doll. Alex still sat there, motionless. Do you want to keep it? Jacob asked. The boy nodded. He held the broken doll to his chest. The wind still blew, but the cold didn't make him tremble anymore. Because under that soil, his sister had finally been seen. And everyone finally had seen the truth. Jacob turned to Martha. We couldn't save Lucy. But maybe, we just saved Alex. Martha didn't reply. She only bowed her head, tears falling silently. By late afternoon, police had put up barricades around the area. A temporary cardboard photo of a little girl stood beside a white flower. Alex stood silently, still clutching the broken doll. A reporter approached, gently asking, "Would you like to say anything?" Alex looked up. "I kept my promise. My sister isn't cold anymore." That night, Jacob wrote his final article for the Citizen's Voice. He titled it, "A Crying Child Made a Nation Listen." In the article, he wrote, "Alex was never a crazy child. He was simply a child the world had gone deaf to. When we fail to hear the faintest cries, sometimes it is we who are holding the shovels burying a part of our own humanity." On national television, the image of the child's cloth bundle being pulled from the ground stunned America. Headlines blanketed newspapers. The truth behind the scream: girl's body discovered in Pine Grove Elementary schoolyard. Education system accused of covering up heinous crime. 6-year-old shakes the nation with harrowing memory. At the county police station, Derek stepped off a transport van in handcuffs, head lowered. A swarm of reporters charged forward. "Mr. Derek, do you have anything to say about Lucy's body? Were you once employed at the notorious Reform Center? Why target children?" Derek remained silent, face hardened. He was escorted into a special interrogation room. Captain Sonia Bennett, head of investigations, entered with 2 officers. She placed a file on the table. "We have a warrant to search your home. Don't think you can hide forever." Derek looked up and sneered. "You think I'm dumb enough to keep evidence at my own place?" Sonia didn't smile. "You did. A lot of it. And we found it." She gestured to an officer outside. He brought in a black suitcase and placed it on the table. Inside were dozens of grainy photographs, children in sleeping positions, in bathrooms, and some snapped through classroom door cracks. Some were marked in red ink. Alongside them was a pouch filled with animal-shaped keychains, dolls, hairbrushes, all belonging to children. Derek's face turned pale. "We also found a hard drive," Sonia continued. "It contains footage from a hidden camera you installed in the storage shed at Pine Grove Elementary. It records multiple girls being led inside." "No, that can't be," he stammered. Sonia tilted her head, voice sharp. "You've been under surveillance since you left Springfield. And Alex's statement matches every detail." Derek fell silent. Sonia leaned in, staring him down. "You killed Lucy. And we know of at least 2 other girls who went missing while you worked at previous schools." Derek breathed heavily, his hands shaking. A minute passed. Then he collapsed forward onto the table, gasping. "Yes. It was me." "How many?" Sonia asked, her voice icy. 3, maybe 4. I don't remember them all." "Where are they buried?" "The old school, near Albany, and one in Rochester." The room fell into silence. That night, police raided both schools where Derek had previously worked. In the yard behind the cafeteria at St. Teresa Elementary School in Rochester, a cadaver dog alerted them to freshly filled soil. The remains of a 7-year-old girl, reported missing in 2020, were recovered. Her name, Sophie Davis. A special news broadcast aired nationwide. The anchor cried on live television. "He is a serial killer. And we as a society let a child scream for nearly a year, and no one listened." Meanwhile, at the County Department of Education, Principal Rose was summoned. Upon entering the emergency meeting room, she found 3 education inspectors, a police representative, and multiple reporters waiting. "Are you Rose Whitman?" one inspector asked. "I am. We hereby notify you that you are under investigation for the following: obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, witness intimidation, and complicity in serious violations of professional ethics. Rose went pale. I just followed protocol. I didn't know what Derek was doing. What about the previous complaints? Why was Laura forced to resign after reporting concerns? I don't recall. Why did the library camera coincidentally malfunction during the fire? Why was Clara bullied after reporting Derek? Rose didn't answer. A New York Times journalist raised a hand. Would you like to offer an apology to Lucy Walker's family? I didn't mean any harm. The inspector slammed the table. You allowed a child to be buried in a schoolyard. And now, the entire nation knows. Rose was suspended immediately, handcuffed, and taken to police headquarters. At Jacob's home, Alex sat silently in front of the TV, watching Derek being escorted away. Martha entered with 2 cups of hot cocoa. Are you cold? She asked. He shook his head. They arrested him. Jacob nodded. And Principal Rose, too. She'll face trial. Alex hesitated. Will they bury her too? No, Jacob replied. But they'll lock her away where she'll have to live with everything she helped bury. The boy looked down, whispering. My sister won't be buried alone anymore. Martha hugged him. Jacob stood nearby, eyes burning. A week later, Jacob was invited to speak at the National Journalism Conference. He stood on a grand stage, the image of a small boy holding a broken doll projected behind him. I'm not the hero, Jacob said. The hero is a 6-year-old boy. A boy who didn't give up despite being called crazy, beaten, starved, mocked on camera. We adults, journalists, teachers, public officials must bow our heads for failing to hear a child's cry. The audience gave a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. Following the speech, Secretary of Education Katherine Johnson issued a formal statement. From this day forward, all school security personnel in the United States will undergo thorough background checks. Every child's complaint must be documented, investigated, and permanently recorded. Alex sat in the car with Jacob and Martha as they heard the news. Will anyone ever be buried again? He asked. Jacob squeezed his hand. No. Because of you, no one will be buried again. By the end of the month, Derek was officially charged with 3 counts of murder, child abuse, and desecration of a corpse. At his first trial, when asked, "Do you have anything to say to the victims' families?" Derek remained silent. Outside the courthouse, people held signs. No one has the right to bury a child's cry. Lucy, we're sorry we didn't hear you. A small park was named Lucy's Garden beside the old schoolyard where her body was found. At its center stood a statue of a small angel, eyes closed, arms cradling a broken doll. The stone inscription read, "For Lucy, who can now fly." Alex visited every week. He sat on the bench and placed a white flower at the angel's feet. One day, Jacob came and sat beside him. Are you okay? Alex nodded. I kept my promise to her. Jacob smiled and gently held the boy's small hand. Spring arrived slowly in New England, just enough to soften the frost-paved paths around St. Paul Recovery Center, where Alex was now staying. Room 8. His room was next to a small garden where sparrows returned every morning. Martha and Jacob visited every week. At first, Alex didn't speak. He only sat by the window, hugging the broken doll, not eating, not smiling. A staff report read, "He's experiencing post-traumatic stress. But he's highly aware he just doesn't want to trust anyone anymore." One day, Martha brought a comic book. He flipped through a few pages, then asked softly, "Do people really survive after being buried?" Martha didn't answer right away. She sat beside the bed and gently said, "I think part of your sister did survive. Inside you." The boy looked down. For the first time in weeks, tears fell from his eyes. The city's Child Welfare Oversight Council held a tense meeting. Jacob was invited to speak as a journalist and temporary guardian of Alex. A member of the council asked, "Do you know the full background of this child's family?" "No. No one knows. The boy has no birth certificate, no school records. Only memory. And that memory led us to Lucy's body." A woman on the council, Mrs. Teresa Grant, looked directly at Jacob. "Do you intend to adopt the boy?" Jacob glanced at Martha, seated behind him. She nodded. Then he answered. "We can't replace the family he lost. But if he agrees, we would like to be his new family." One afternoon, Jacob visited Alex alone. The boy sat on a bench near the garden, his hair neatly trimmed, but his eyes still deep and distant. "I brought you something," Jacob said, opening a small box. Inside was a photo. Lucy in a pale purple dress, holding her doll. Behind her, Alex grinning widely, his mouth smeared with frosting. "A friend of your mother's sent this. She found it in an old box from your old neighborhood." Alex reached out and gently touched the photo. "I'd forgotten, that birthday. Do you remember anything else?" "I remember she laughed when someone lifted her up. She said, 'I'm flying like a bird.'" Jacob sat beside him. "So, if you could really fly, where would you go?" Alex looked into the distance, then whispered. "Somewhere with no gates. No yelling. No dirt to bury anyone in." Jacob smiled. "I think I know a place like that." 2 months later, Alex left St. Paul Recovery Center. No sirens. No hidden cameras. Just an old silver car, a small suitcase, and 2 hands holding his tightly, Jacob's and Martha's. Their new home was in the quiet village of Woodstock, where barley fields stretched out and sheep wandered across the road in the mornings. Alex stepped in hesitantly. "This is, really my house?" Martha nodded. "No cameras. No guards. Nothing buried here." He walked in and looked around. His room was painted a soft sky blue. A warm bed. A small bookshelf. And on the desk, a framed photo of Lucy. Next to it sat a brown-haired dog, tail wagging furiously. "This is Bruno. He was abandoned too," Jacob introduced. Bruno jumped up and licked Alex's hand. For the first time, Alex laughed. In the weeks that followed, Alex slowly opened up. He started learning to read and write. Each day, Jacob taught him to write in a journal. Martha taught him how to cook. Together, they planted white daisies around the house. One day, while writing, Alex asked, "Can I call you Dad?" Jacob choked up, then smiled. "That's the greatest gift I've ever received." A month later, they returned to Springfield. The little angel statue had been completed on the very spot where Lucy had once been buried. Alex brought a white flower. He knelt, placing it at the angel's feet. The gravestone bore an inscription he had chosen. "I'm sorry I didn't save you sooner." Martha took his hand. "She never blamed you. She knew, you fought all by yourself." He whispered. "Now she can fly. Like a bird." Bruno barked softly, as if in agreement. On the drive home, Alex turned to Jacob. "I'm not afraid anymore." "Really?" "Yeah. Because now I know, if someone ever gets lost again, I'll be the one who listens." Jacob said nothing. He just looked at him, heart full of peace. In a letter to the Springfield City Hall, Alex wrote, "I don't want anyone else to scream and be called crazy. Teach grown-ups to listen better. And to believe kids." The letter was read aloud during a city council meeting. The entire chamber fell silent. In the end, no one called Alex the screaming crazy boy anymore. They called him The child who made the earth speak. Alex's story reminds us that in a busy and indifferent society, children's cries for help are too often dismissed as imagination. But truth doesn't disappear, it only gets buried, waiting for someone brave enough to dig it up. Listening, believing, and protecting children is not a choice. It is the moral duty of every adult. One honest word from a child can shake an entire system. And one act of kindness can save a life.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.